Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right and still nothing moves? You pray, you wait, you watch for some kind of confirmation, a feeling, a verse, a moment that says, "This is it," and it never comes. But what if the sign isn't missing? What if you were never supposed to be looking for one? Everything is about to shift the moment you understand one word: cava. It's the real meaning behind the most quoted line in Psalm 37. And once you see it, you'll never wait the same way again. Imagine two people both facing the exact same closed door. The first person is a watcher. They've decided not to move until something undeniable happens. A dream, a clear word, a moment where doubt disappears completely. So they stand at the door, watching, waiting. Months pass, then years. The watching becomes its own kind of exhausting because watching for certainty is its own full-time job. It doesn't feel like rest. It feels like holding your breath indefinitely, hoping someone eventually tells you it's safe to exhale. Then there's the second person. Let's call them the mover. They don't have any more clarity than the watcher does. Same uncertainty, same closed door, same unanswered questions. But they're doing the next right thing anyway. Working, tending, showing up, while trusting that if the door's wrong, they'll be redirected along the way instead of warned in advance. If you ask the mover their secret, they won't tell you they finally got their sign. They'll tell you they stopped needing one. And that one shift from needing a sign to trusting a process changes everything about how they actually live. To understand why, we have to go back to the man who wrote the most quoted verse on waiting in the entire Bible. David didn't write Psalm 37 in a peaceful season. He wrote it old, looking back on a long, hard life full of injustice he couldn't fix. Men who'd wronged him were thriving. The wicked were winning by every visible measure he could see in front of him. And David, watching all of it unfold, was furious, not calm, not composed. Furious. If anyone had a right to demand a sign before moving another inch, it was him. He'd already waited years for a throne he'd been promised as a young man. He'd already watched enemies prosper while he hid in caves. And now, old and tired, he's writing not from theory, but from decades of unanswered waiting. Notice what God doesn't tell him to do. God doesn't say, wait until the anger passes. God doesn't say wait until it finally makes sense. He gives David one short, strange instruction that we've been misreading for centuries. An instruction that has almost nothing to do with standing still. We've taken one verse, wait on the Lord, and built an entire theology of standing still around it. We've stitched it onto pillows, whispered it at funerals, repeated it at hospital bedsides, treated it like the whole psalm in a single sentence. But that phrase was never meant to stand alone, stripped from everything around it. Let's go back to where the psalm actually starts, because the real instruction is bigger and far more demanding than the one line we kept. Psalm 37 doesn't open with wait. It opens with three moving parts, and all three matter. Fret not. This is the alarm system. Don't let what you see, the other people's progress, other people's wins, other people getting exactly what you've been praying for, destabilize you. Fretting isn't just an emotion, it's a slow leak. It drains your attention away from your own life and pours it into comparing your unfinished story to someone else's highlight reel. Trust. This is the foundation. Not blind hope, not denial, but a settled confidence in who's actually in charge of outcomes. Trust doesn't mean you stop caring about the result. It means you stop carrying the result like it's your job to control it. Do good. This is the engine. Keep working. Keep tending your life. Keep showing up. Sign or no sign, clarity or no clarity. This is the part almost everyone quietly skips because doing good when nothing's confirmed yet feels like a risk. But David doesn't treat it as optional. He puts it in the same sentence as trust, like the two were never meant to be separated. A person who's only fretting and waiting isn't practicing faith. They've removed two of the three working parts, trust and do good, and called the leftover stillness faithfulness. It isn't. It's just stillness with a spiritual label. Now here's where it gets interesting. The word we translate as wait, cava, has nothing to do with sitting still. In its root form, it's used to describe twisting a rope or stretching a cord taut until it holds weight. That's not a passive image. That's tension, applied with purpose. Think about the difference between a signal and a posture. A signal is something you receive. Passive, external, completely out of your hands. You can't make a signal arrive faster by wanting it more. A posture is something you hold. Active, internal, fully within your control, regardless of what's happening around you. Cava is a posture, not a signal. Picture a runner crouched at the starting line, leaning forward, every muscle engaged, weight already shifting toward the first stride. Not relaxed, not idle, not lounging, while they wait for the gun to fire. Tense, ready, alert, but still technically waiting. So when David says, "Wait on the Lord," he's not telling you to freeze until a signal arrives from somewhere outside you. He's telling you to hold a posture, leaning forward, engaged, ready to move the instant the next step is clear. While God handles the timing, you were never going to be able to control anyway. Think about how you navigate somewhere new and unfamiliar. A GPS pin tells you exactly where to go, turn by turn, no thinking required on your part. That's what we actually want from God when we say we're waiting for a sign. We want a pin, an unmistakable, undeniable instruction that removes every ounce of risk. But most of the time, what we're given is a compass instead. A compass doesn't show you the destination. It doesn't tell you how many turns are left or how long the road is. It just tells you which direction is true. And it's up to you to take the next step. And then the one after that. And then the one after that, one at a time, without the whole map laid out in advance. The compass doesn't fail you by not being a pin. It's doing exactly what it was built to do. The problem isn't that God's guidance is somehow unclear or unreliable. The problem is we keep demanding a pin from something that was only ever designed to be a compass, and then calling the absence of a pin a sign that we've been abandoned. If you've been stuck in watcher mode lately, you'll usually feel one of four specific things: frozen. You've got real decisions sitting in front of you right now, and you keep stalling, hoping clarity arrives before you actually have to choose anything. Resentful. You're watching other people move forward, get the job, start the relationship, make the leap, while you're still parked, waiting for a permission slip you were never actually told you needed. Disconnected. You're more present on your phone, checking and rechecking for some kind of answer than you are in the actual life sitting directly in front of you. Tired in a very specific way. Not from doing too much, but from holding your breath for far too long in a posture your body and spirit were never designed to sustain indefinitely. These four feelings aren't signs that you're failing at faith. They're signs that you've been operating on the wrong instructions about what waiting was supposed to look like in the first place. Here's where most of us make it worse without even realizing it. We feel frozen, so naturally we try to manufacture certainty. Rereading old texts, replaying old conversations on a loop, searching for the sign harder than before, as if intensity alone could conjure clarity. But waiting for a feeling of certainty before you'll move is like refusing to plant a field until you can already see the harvest standing in it. The harvest was never going to show up before the planting. That's not how seeds work, and it's not how trust works either. Both require something to be put into the ground, in the dark, long before there's any visible proof it was worth doing. So if a sign was never actually the goal, what is? Psalm 37 answers that with a promise, most people stop reading just before they reach it, because the famous part comes first and the real weight comes later. David writes, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down." Psalm 37, 23, 24. Not he will never take a wrong step. Though he fall. That single word, though, means movement, including mistaken movement, was inside the plan the entire time. You were never actually waiting for permission to act. You were free to move all along, trusting that even your missteps could be caught and redirected rather than punished. Here's how to actually live this differently starting today. 3 switches. Switch 1. The readiness switch. Stop waiting for the feeling of certainty before you'll act. The flip. Do the next true thing you already know today. without requiring a feeling to confirm it first. Certainty was never the prerequisite. Obedience was. Switch 2. The posture switch. Stop treating waiting as standing still. The flip, stay engaged, working, tending, showing up, fully present, while holding the outcome loosely instead of demanding it arrive on your timeline. Switch 3. The trust switch. Stop reading every wrong turn as proof you missed the sign. The flip, trust that even your missteps are inside the ordering, not outside of it. Which means a wrong turn isn't evidence of abandonment, it's just part of the road. When you finally stop watching and start moving, your life starts to shift. Not overnight, but steadily. The way a tended field changes over a season instead of a single day. Clarity isn't a lightning bolt anymore. You stop waiting for one blinding moment of certainty and you start trusting the next faithful step instead, one at a time. Peace isn't a finish line. You stop needing the outcome resolved before you can feel okay. And a steadier kind of peace begins to show up in the middle of the unresolved, right where you actually are. Courage isn't a personality trait. You find yourself doing things that used to terrify you. Not because you got braver, but because you stopped requiring permission you were never going to receive. So here's the truth. Psalm 37 actually hands you, once you read past the one famous line. It's not about the sign, it's about the posture. It's not about certainty, it's about trust. It's not about standing still, it's about staying ready. You don't need a dream. You don't need a verse to jump off the page. You don't need a stranger to say the exact right words at the exact right moment. You need to fret not, trust, and do good. And let your steps, missteps included, be ordered by someone who hasn't looked away from you for a single second. I think about how many decisions I delayed, waiting for a feeling that was never going to show up before I moved. Looking back, the wait wasn't faith. It was fear, dressed up as patience, wearing all the right spiritual language. I don't get those years back, but I'm done handing more of them away to a sign that was never coming. If this gave you language for something you've been quietly stuck on, go to the comments and type, "Lord, teach me to move." That's it. Just those words. It's a small way of telling your own heart that the watching is over and the trusting has started. And if you know someone who's been frozen, parked, waiting on a sign that isn't coming, send them this video. Give them permission to move. If you want more of these truths explained simply, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.